Before we start, if anyone has any answers to the questions I'm about to ask, please tell me in the comments. I'm not trying to suggest this is all wrong, but what I am saying is that none of it makes any sense. Use the comment section and enlighten me. Above your head right now, there's a world we all think we understand. We're told it begins just past those fluffy little clouds, a void so massive, so empty, that sound itself disappears. A black expanse, infinite in every direction. At least, that's what we've always been told. But what if the sky isn't what we think it is? What if what we call space is less fact and more belief? What if all along we have just believed what we were taught, simply because that's what they want you to believe? When you research and look right into it, literally, it's just an illusion. For thousands of years, civilizations looked to the stars and saw their ancestors, and some saw gods. What they really made of thunder and lightning or heavy rain and blizzards, we can only imagine. The Babylonians, Greeks, Chinese, Egyptians, each had their own cosmology. Most believed the stars were embedded in a dome, a firmament. Others saw the heavens as a layered construct. Then came Copernicus, Galileo, Newton, and later, more recently, Einstein. The heavens were redefined, not mythical anymore, but mechanical. A vast vacuum filled with planets, suns, and galaxies, some millions of light years away. They should know. They're scientists, and we should hold their every word and every theory, right? All of a sudden, as if overnight, the ether, once believed to carry light and energy, was discarded. Space became an empty canvas, cold, silent, and infinite, and a canvas where certain individuals, those that were free and those that were masons, could paint to their heart's content. So they did. But every transformation of their views, not the normal person's view, has left behind contradictions, cracks, and some serious questions. Let's begin with the simplest question of all. How can our atmosphere stay next to a vacuum? Science tells us that Earth is surrounded by a powerful vacuum, one that can suck in huge black holes, don't you know? One that can direct comets, asteroids, and even planets. Yet somehow, our atmosphere doesn't instantly rush off into space. Earth and her fluffy clouds stay put, spinning around without a care. With every lab experiment on Earth, whenever high pressure meets vacuum, the result is violent and instantaneous. The air rushes in unless there's a barrier. In fact, to create a vacuum in a laboratory here on Earth, you need a sealed chamber and powerful pumps. Yet we're told that a near-perfect vacuum floats effortlessly just above our breathable air, held in place only by gravity. No dome, no barrier, no physical separation, just pressure sitting next to no pressure. Bizarre. How? Mainstream science explains it with gravity. And let's bear in mind that gravity was unknown until one of the previously mentioned Isaac Newton came up with it, conveniently. But even so, does that explanation hold under scrutiny? If gravity exists and is strong enough to hold trillions of tons of atmosphere in place, how do birds fly? How do helium balloons rise? Why are we not glued permanently to the pavement? Once again, something doesn't add up. Next, the thermosphere. It's a region high above the Earth, and according to NASA, temperatures can exceed 4,500 degrees Celsius. That's hotter than molten lava. Even hotter than my wife's shepherd's pie. So here's the question. How do delicate satellites survive there? How do astronauts wearing thin polymer suits conduct spacewalks within or near this region? The answer to that is simple. They don't. NASA says there's so little matter in the thermosphere that even though the temperature is high, the heat transfer is negligible. But ask yourself this: would you feel safe walking through air that is 8,000 degrees Fahrenheit, even in a spacesuit? Here's a little coincidence related to NASA. NASA is an anagram of Satan. No, it's not. The T is missing. Correct. Now cast your mind back to any space launch that you've seen on TV. It always has a voiceover during the takeoff. Listen.
30 seconds and counting. Astronauts report it feels good. T-minus 25 seconds.
Did you hear it? T minus. Are they mocking us? Take the T from Satan and you have NASA. That's strange, don't you think? Does it make sense that we can fly metal machines and human beings through such extreme heat during space programs without any visible damage? These aren't conspiracy theories. These are physics questions. You've heard the phrase, blind you with science. That's their answer to everything. I have no degree or diploma in physics or any other science for that matter, but I'll tell you what I do have. Common sense. Let's talk about how space looks. Why does so much footage from space look artificial? Even space expert Elon Musk can vouch for that.
I've seen the images of it with the...
That looks fake.
It looks
That's
fake.
how you know it's real.
Is that how you know it's real?
Yeah.
From the 1969 moon landings to present-day International Space Station broadcasts, the imagery often looks too clean, too digital, and too staged. From air bubbles, or are they water bubbles, shooting out from the astronauts' suits? There are videos where astronauts appear suspended by harnesses. Hair that is obviously scorched with a couple of cans of Silvercrin. Other brands are available. Lighting and cameras that behave strangely. And green screens that you weren't supposed to see. Are these genuine mistakes or something more concerning? We aren't saying all space footage is fake, are we? But why does so much of it raise red flags? And how come some folk cannot see this for what it could be? In a world where deep fakes and CGI are commonplace right now, shouldn't we demand more transparency from the world's space agencies? The amount of funding NASA and other agencies around the world get, they can do virtually anything, and then the make-believe becomes real for some. Before we laugh at the idea that space might be misunderstood, we should really look at what ancient cultures believed. Many thought the stars were fixed in a dome. I'm not at all religious, but even the Bible mentions a dome. In space, even today, the stars rotate in perfect patterns. Polaris doesn't move. Time-lapse footage shows the sky as a perfect mechanical clock. If space was really what they say it is, how and why does this happen? In 1887, the Michelson-Morley experiment tried to detect Earth's motion through this vast darkness called space. They expected a result. Oops, they got none. It was one of the most important failed experiments in scientific history, but it's frowned upon. Mention it to a physicist or an astronaut, something strange happens. They transform into Usain Bolt and they're gone. Just like Newton coming up with a theory of gravity to explain the ludicrous vacuum, Einstein later used the failed experiment to help develop the theory of relativity. Oh, I'm blinded again. But what if the original result was correct? What if Earth wasn't moving the way we think? These aren't claims, they are questions that science once asked and then stopped all of a sudden. I was always under the impression that science was to be questioned at every opportunity, but now, and it worries me, because it is all to cover up lies. We aren't allowed to question any science. Shut up and accept, they shout. Sorry, not this one. There's something you may not know. According to modern physics, 96% of the universe is missing. It's made of something we can't see, we can't touch, and they can't detect. Dark matter and dark energy. Oh my word, that sounds scary. Even gravity, the force that supposedly holds space together, is now admittedly poorly understood by science. Quantum mechanics and general relativity still don't agree. Well, let me give them a heads up. Gravity is nothing but density and buoyancy. It's not rocket science. The truth is, we don't understand the universe nearly as well as we pretend. Ask yourself another question. Why do they explore space more than they do our oceans? The reason is, I think, we the people can get to our oceans, but space, unless of course you're a billionaire or a bunch of untrustworthy money-grabbing lying celebrities, space is unreachable, vacuum or no vacuum. We try to fill the gaps with theories. We attempt experiments and models. They, on the other hand, use maths. Maths that look so complicated, Will Hunting would struggle. Sorry if you've never seen the film and you don't get that one. But what if some of our core assumptions are wrong? This isn't about flat Earth or faked moon landings or secret agendas, although I'm so tempted to stray. This is about asking the questions that got us to where we are. Why doesn't the atmosphere escape into space? Why do the temperatures and footage contradict logic? Why does science discard failed experiments instead of re-examining them? Truth doesn't need nor require protection, and science isn't dogma. It is supposed to evolve, or at least it should. Message to the scientists: stop avoiding questions, even ones you can't answer. Grow some and act with morals. Tell the majority, the public, what it really is. We ain't all thick, you know. My viewers know a lot more than you think. Don't forget to click that like button. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. And they deserve the truth. So, wonderful viewer, the next time you look up at the stars, don't just wonder what's out there. Wonder what's missing from the story. Wonder who's pulling the strings. Unless, of course, you think space is what they're telling you. You be the judge.